As we've extensively covered, yesterday was a very rough day for Donald Trump and Elon Musk as they publicly litigated their very messy political divorce. But somebody else who had a really rough day, whether or not the public recognized it at the time, is Trump's press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, who now has the responsibility of trying to manage this PR disaster. And she was very quiet for hours as this feud raged on. Then she went public, issuing a really suspicious non-denial of Musk's allegation that the Trump administration is dragging its feet on the release of the Epstein files because Trump is implicated. And then hours after that, she had a disastrous interview on Fox News with Sean Hannity as she desperately tried to put on a brave face as this entire alliance collapsed. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we got a couple of clips to play from Karoline Leavitt's appearance on Sean Hannity's show on Fox News. But first things first, let's do this chronologically speaking. As the Musk-Trump feud raged on, this tweet went viral by Ginny Hogan on X Truth Social, and it was hilarious. Karoline Leavitt practicing saying, "Boys will be boys," with a convincing chuckle in front of her mirror for 3 hours tonight. You may recall that when Musk started to first publicly rumble about the big, beautiful bill, nowhere near as loudly as he rumbled yesterday, Karoline Leavitt tried to play it off like, oh, yes, the president is aware of Elon's opinion about this, and it doesn't change anything. Again, trying to put on a brave front. Well, yesterday, everything went nuclear, right? And so you can imagine just like, oh, shit. Now I'm going to have to try to sell that this isn't a big deal. And again, this very vocal White House was largely silent. They actually pulled Deputy White House Chief of Staff, I almost said Press Secretary, Chief of Staff Stephen Miller from a Fox News interview as they tried to scramble for crisis management. Then Musk issued his allegation that the Epstein files are being delayed by the Trump administration because Trump is implicated in those files. Then Karoline Leavitt went public, again, hours later, with this very suspicious non-denial. As Caitlin Collins of CNN notes, the White House responds to Musk saying the Epstein files haven't been made public because Trump is in them, with Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt saying, quote, "This is an unfortunate episode from Elon, who's unhappy with the one big beautiful bill because it does not include the policies he wanted. The president is focused on passing this historic piece of legislation and making our country great again." Not a denial at all, as we discussed in a previous video, a very suspicious non-denial from Karoline Leavitt. So then, hours after that, Karoline Leavitt goes on Fox News. She's finally on camera, trying desperately to spin and deflect with a very sympathetic right-wing Trump-aligned MAGA host. Well, let's play the clip, and you tell me how she did.
That's right, Sean. And tonight, the president's focus and the focus of the entire White House remains on passing the one big beautiful bill. And as your audience just saw on Friday, just days ago, the president graciously hosted Elon Musk in the Oval Office, and Elon thanked the president for his incredible leadership to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in our government, which this one big beautiful bill does. So the only difference between Friday and today is Elon went back to his companies, and as a businessman, he has a right to speak for his companies. But as president, President Trump has a responsibility to fight for this country. And the one big beautiful bill is the most historic piece of legislation that has moved through Capitol Hill in modern day history.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the glistening on her upper lip. She is like visibly nervous. You can see, again, that Ginny Hogan tweet, Karoline Leavitt practicing saying boys will be boys with a convincing chuckle in front of her mirror for 3 hours tonight. Yeah, she was desperate to try to sell this, and I don't think she did. It's pretty weak, as a matter of fact. I mean, Donald Trump, his impression of strength is to attack anybody who disagrees with him, to attack his critics, okay, to come out swinging. And yet, he's been very muted, relatively speaking, with Elon Musk in a way that he simply never would be with anybody else. And again, it says something. I mean, think of all the times that Karoline Leavitt, think of all the times that we've covered it, Karoline Leavitt actively insulting, aggressively, rudely, cruelly, immigrants, liberals, progressives, Democrats, Democratic elected officials, again, elements of the media, other Republicans, just viciously, snidely attacking anyone who dares disagree at any point, at any level with Donald Trump. But she pulls her punches with Elon Musk. She issues a very, very specifically worded non-denial of Musk's bombshell Epstein allegations. Not Not convincing. And I'm curious, at the time of recording, I don't know if the White House is going to host, a White House press briefing. I imagine Leavitt is going to get peppered with questions, brutal questions from reporters the next time she's in front of them. But if this is the best she can do, it's not looking good. And to be fair to her, when you see a nuclear meltdown, the likes of which you see yesterday, it would be hard for anybody, liberal or conservative, Democrat or Republican, to try to spin this in a positive direction. So, having established all of that, let's play some other clips from that part of the interview as she tries to change the topic.
For our national security and funding for the Golden Dome, which is another signature campaign promise of President Trump's. Look, President Trump is the unequivocal leader of the Republican Party, and this bill is going to pass.
What do you mean he's the unequivocal leader of the Republican Party? Why do you have to tell it? Again, Tywin Lannister in Game of Thrones, again, my Game of Thrones references, would say things like, any man who must say, I am the king is no true king. Why do you have to say that Trump is the leader of the Republican Party? If it's true, is that why? Is that why you guys have been relatively muted and relatively kind to Elon Musk in your responses, because you fear that he's actually a credible challenger? And again, I mean, if you asked me to bet, I would bet on Trump. Trump's the president of the United States. He's the most powerful man on earth, at least on paper. He has a cultish grip over the Republican Party, and he's punitive and spiteful and vindictive. There's more power concentrated on paper with Trump than Musk. But again, it just says something. Why is the brash and reckless Donald Trump, a man who wades into social media conflicts with anybody, so damn hesitant to do it with Elon Musk if he has all the power in the world? And why is he sending his press secretary out to Fox News saying, guys, Donald Trump is the leader of the party. He's the leader of the party. Are you afraid that people might confuse Elon Musk as the leader of the Republican Party? Again, it betrays a certain anxiety. It betrays an insecurity. Here's another clip.
Well, sure. As the president said on Truth Social and also discussed in the Oval Office today, this was a good, productive call. And he has always enjoyed a respectful relationship with China's president. And China needs the United States of America and our markets. And we also have a strategic interest in China's economy and market as well. And so that's why both leaders decided today that their trade officials will continue to meet to discuss this important.
She's, again, you can just hear it, like the pitch of her voice, the loudness. She's trying to compensate for the fact that there is no tangible trade deal with China at the moment. I mean, there's certainly discussions and negotiations going on that we're hearing reports of, but no deal. That is no deal. That's such a far fucking cry from a deal. She's hoping that Hannity's viewers, Fox News viewers, and the American people writ large won't know that. But we do. People do that. Maybe not Hannity's viewers, maybe not Fox's viewers, but the American people. That's why Trump's polling on the economy is so atrocious. Trump is having a hard time bullshitting on this. I mean, we did a video about this, but he issued a Truth Social recently where he was complaining about how difficult it is to negotiate with Xi Jinping, the leader of China. Well, you started this. I mean, are you surprised? Are you surprised that it's difficult to deal with the world's second biggest economy that you say you understand better than anybody else? Why are you so constantly surprised and taken off guard? Why do you not know these things, Donald? So, yeah, again, this is pure damage control from Karoline Leavitt, and I don't find it particularly convincing, and I don't imagine most people do as well. And again, as somebody who doesn't like Karoline Leavitt, I think she's incredibly dangerous. I think she's, in as many ways, I would argue Trump is obviously the biggest threat to democracy in the Trump administration. But Karoline Leavitt, as a mouthpiece for this regime, she's also a problem. And listen, I think actually she's better at her job by far than Kayleigh McEnany was, or Sarah Huckabee Sanders was, or Sean Spicer was. I think she is the culmination of the MAGA movement. She certainly has talent in what she's doing. I just think that what she's trying to manage strains even her considerable talent for lies, deceit, deflection, and spite. I think even her talent in that respect, her capacity for, malice and malicious propaganda is being strained by the incompetence and recklessness of Donald Trump. And so this is a pure PR move, and I don't find it particularly convincing. We'll see what happens in the next couple of days. We'll see what happens the next time she faces reporters at the White House. I just checked again. I see nothing on the schedule with respect to a White House press briefing, but we'll definitely be keeping our eyes on that. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.